not to tell anyone, he puts all of the blame and stuff on himself. So to solve cyberbullying, really just being open, being able to talk about cyberbullying, having a good relationship between a parent and a teen, and just talking about things that happen on the internet really makes cyberbullying a lot less makes it affect your teen a lot less. And so we've had a lot of teens talk about their perspectives on various aspects of the internet. So now we'll invite Dee Dee, our advisor, and Carl to talk from an older, more parental perspective on how the internet works and how parents and teens should work together to navigate the internet.
Yeah, I'll stand.
Well, I just want to take a minute to kind of say a little thing about our alumni. The two characters that started out this whole thing, and that's Carl. Carl and Peter are the founding members. Carl and Peter are the founding members. They are. I just wanted to give them a little plug though. Carl is at UC Berkeley, and Peter is back home for the spring week. And he's from the prestigious college of University of Chicago. So he's come quite a long way this time. And you can tell that they are still very involved with Bay Echo. We really appreciate their ongoing support. They act as mentors to our younger students. And while I'm on the subject, I do want to mention too that our prestigious president, Dennis, is a graduating senior at Lynbrook, and he'll be going on to Harvard next year. So we're very proud of our teens. And I also would like to take just a moment for all of you teens that are in the audience. If you think that we're having fun up here, we are. And we're always open for new members. So if you think that you would like to be part of Bay Echo, please come up and talk to one of the kids at the end of the presentation, or go to bayecho.com. The only thing that's required of you is that you have a willingness and dedication to be part of the group. Okay? So I am so happy to have Carl help me with this segment, and he's doing it kind of sporadically, or spontaneously. So the problem, the thing about parent guidelines is that we as parents are living in a very, we're on the forefront of something big. And that is that we are the first line of parents to parent our kids around the internet. And that's because when we were kids, there was no technology. So our parents didn't teach us. We came from low technology into high technology. And what that means is that we have had to migrate into technology. And a lot of you can relate to this, that when you immigrate into a new place, there's definitely a learning curve. You have to go through the process of acculturating. So for us parents, learning technology has come is a journey of lumps and bumps and blind spots. Basically, we've had to learn technology. However, our kids have been born into it. They don't know a time when there wasn't internet or cell phones and texting. They are already assimilated into technology. They understand it very differently than we do. And their experience on the internet is very different than what we experience as parents. And that has caused a bigger gap between the two generations. However, we as parents need to govern our children. We need to guide them. And we need to protect them while they're on the internet. So the first guideline I'd like to talk about is staying connected to youth. And that's probably the number one most important thing. It's what we talked about last year when we talked about communication. So we talked about rules without relationships equal rebellion. And what that means to with the internet or with technology is that if you try to make rules to govern our kids around technology, but we have no understanding of how or why, what or why they're using on the internet, we will get flack from them. They will resent us because they think that They feel misunderstood. They don't feel like we understand them, that we know what we're doing. That trust and disrespect feelings just will permeate. So one of the first ways to get connected with your kids is to obviously open up the dialogue about what they're doing on the internet. However, if you just bombard them with questions about what they're doing, that can close them down too, right? So one of the first things you can do is be honest about how you use the internet. We all, as parents, use the internet our own way. I personally use the internet a lot. I'm on the internet with webinars and maintaining my website. I get all my news on the internet, and so I use that in day-to-day conversations with my kids, with my entire family. We talk about what's on the web. We talk about articles I've read, or my daughter will tell me what's going on Tumblr for the day, and it's a part of our everyday conversation. So that's a good first way to start relating to your kids. Just bring it into your conversations each day. Talking about their online activities. Asking your teens to help understand you and to show you how things are working. They're experts. Respect them as the experts and help them, or have them show you how to use the internet. Friend them on Facebook. That's a hot topic, and I'm going to let Carl talk about that.
So actually, I didn't even know I was going to be up here talking until about like 30 minutes ago. And it may seem a little bit odd because the point of this segment was to kind of share a parent's perspective on everything that the teenagers have been talking about so far. But I think one of the reasons I was asked to speak, one of the reasons that I would like to speak as well, is because I have probably a pretty unique perspective on using internet and social media. I actually used to be like a very avid user of Facebook and a lot of social media websites. I used to, I don't know if everybody here knows what forums and like things like what Reddit are, but I used to use those a lot, and I was pretty addicted. But actually, since 2012, I turned both of those things off. I haven't touched Facebook in 3 months. I deactivated my account. I haven't used Reddit or a lot of social services that a lot of my peers are on for quite a long time too. In addition to that, I have 3 really young brothers, all of whom I really love and I really want to see succeed, and I see them at the same time kind of being drawn into this web of Facebook, you know, playing video games and things like that. And as somebody who has been through a lot of that, I wanted to share some of my feelings and perspectives on that. One of the things that I wanted to start off on was what Dee Dee left off on, which was the whole Facebook thing and friending your son or your daughter on Facebook. So actually, just by show of hands, I'm curious to hear, how many parents in this audience have tried friending their son or daughter on Facebook? Only a few. How many parents in here have a Facebook account? Oh, wow. Okay, that's actually pretty impressive. But a study that we conducted, and we surveyed a lot of our friends, showed that a lot of students who had their parents friend them on Facebook, about 50% of them said that they would never, ever accept their parents' friend requests. From the perspective of the teenager, I think I totally understand how that feels. I remember when my mom tried to friend me on Facebook, and I immediately denied that. From the perspective of a parent, though, I can see why that'd be really confusing, that'd be really strange. Why would my son and daughter not friend me on Facebook? And I think one of the things that I wanted to share on that was precisely that. Why is it that if you're their mom or dad, they wouldn't accept you as a friend? And the answer really has to do with a lot about the insight behind social media. I think of what a lot of we want to share today is beyond just the information of what Facebook is and what social media tools are, what cyberbullying is how that affects you guys and why that's even relevant. Facebook is a platform. You can make an account, you can add friends, you can talk to people, you can do a lot of amazing things. At this point in time, Facebook is about to become a public company. The biggest public company, the biggest internet company the world has ever seen. It's bigger than Google. It's a company that's here to stay. It's a forum that's here to stay. It's an incredibly powerful tool. What that means is they've done an amazing job of getting people to really want to use it. It's pretty standard nowadays to meet somebody and say, just add me on Facebook after you meet them. This is something that isn't just a trivial issue for us. It's not a video game that we can turn off. It's something that has become deeply personal to a lot of students and deeply rooted in our lives. I share a lot of things, well, I used to share a lot of things on Facebook that I don't talk about with other people, or I would post certain things, or people would post certain things on my wall that were more personal discussions. We would tease each other, we would insult each other, we would just say anything we wanted to each other that we could also do in private in real life. One of the reasons why parents, your teenagers might not want you to friend them is because that allows you to get access to seeing everything, or almost everything, that goes on in terms of their activities on Facebook. You basically get a peek into their internet private lives. It's almost as if you have the ability to monitor, let's say, their email. Every single time they got a new email, you would be able to read it and see who they're responding to, and see what they're saying. For a lot of teenagers, I think that they feel a little bit uneasy about this. It feels like almost an intrusion of their personal privacy. And I think a lot of people here would agree on that. That's one of the reasons why it's very uncomfortable for many people to let their parents have that sort of insight into their own personal lives. I'm not saying that's a good thing, I'm just trying to explain the thought process that goes behind what some teenagers might feel. So hopefully what this helps parents understand is they're not doing it because they don't like you, because they really don't trust you. A lot of it's just a very human reaction where their identity is in some ways tied to this internet tool. So giving you access is almost like showing you everything that they are, all the bad things that they say, all the insults that they throw at their friends, all the cyberbullying they might do, and all the cyberbullying they might experience, all the things that they read that you can see, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. So I just wanted to share that thought so that parents are understanding their teenagers' habits, and hopefully for studying communication with their teenagers as well.
So that means that if you do friend your daughter or son on Facebook, really respect that relationship. For me, I am a friend of my daughter's, and I always get her okay on anything that I post on the internet that has to do with her. It goes through her first. And if she says, no, don't post that, Mom, that's okay too, because then it opens a dialogue, and it's all about connecting, right? It opens a dialogue for me to understand my daughter more on that level. And so we also, game playing, like Vic said earlier, game playing is awesome. Did you want to say something about the game?
I think I wanted to echo one of the points that Nick made. Really powerful about video games. I don't think a lot of parents are going to agree with me here. But that's really simply, if you really want to connect with a teenager over video games, or get them to understand that maybe playing video games this much isn't good for them, why not start off by playing some games with them? A lot of the times, I mean, this is just a proven fact. People who connect really well share a lot of things in common. It's hard for me to really relate to somebody who doesn't like any of the things that I like. It's easy for me to relate to somebody who likes the things that I like. This is true with video games too. I remember when I was younger, my dad and I would actually play a lot of computer games together. You know, we would like fight bosses together, and we would just have a really great time. And those moments, I think, are what establishes degrees of connection, trust, and the beginning of a really solid relationship between anybody. I know when I'm playing video games with my friends too, and we're just playing any video game, it's a lot of fun. And that's when we start to become more connected. For a lot of parents, I don't think they ever think about this. I don't think many parents think to themselves, one way I can connect with my son and get them to see potentially how much time they spend on these video games is to start off by playing with them. And then maybe they can understand them and understand this game. And maybe have a conversation about it. And eventually maybe they can understand me as we're playing. So that we can both come to some sort of mutual agreement as to what's best for both of us and for this relationship. I don't know if that's necessarily a road that's taken by many people, but I want to encourage it as, I think, a very strong alternative possibility. And I think on the teenagers' side, they need to be receptive that maybe one thing that we could all start doing is just opening up to our parents and allowing them to be part of our lives in this way. So I think it's a two-way road, but I feel that if both people made the attempt to really allow each other to connect over something as simple as video games, that's the starting point for building a strong foundational relationship.
What we're really talking about is if the internet and gaming and everything that happens on their computers are really important to them. It's not just an activity that they're pursuing, it's a part of their life in a very deep way. And if it's important to our kids, it should be important to us. So getting an understanding of why they're on the internet is meaningful for our kids. They want us to know who they are. About internet use is so important because the internet doesn't stand still. It's going to continue to move. And every day there's going to be new websites. They're not, Facebook is not going to be top dog always. There's going to be something else, and it might happen next week. So educating yourself on new websites and what's going on the internet is an ongoing thing. So understand the process. How do you as a parent educate yourself? So one of the ways that you can educate yourself is to go to the websites that your teens use. I mean, our teens are experts at them, so use your teen. Ask them to sit down with you and show them what they're doing and have them teach you. I was like that with Facebook. When I got on Facebook, I didn't know what I was doing. So my daughter was my Facebook consultant for the first 6 months I was on Facebook. It really made a difference for me. And research, gain an understanding of rules and settings. Each website does different things. So, for example, even those websites have different lingo. So if you're liking somebody or you're friending somebody, you're talking about Facebook. If you're tweeting, you're talking about Twitter. If you're following, you're talking about Tumblr. And teens know that. They know the lingo, and they don't even have to say, oh, I was on Tumblr, or whatever. So to get an understanding, and also there's settings, and understand the settings. Like on Facebook, there's so many settings and rules as well. Do you know you're supposed to be 13 to have a Facebook account? Do you think everyone on Facebook is over 13? No, there's a lot of 10, 11, 12-year-olds on Facebook. So just be aware of what the settings are and how our teens are using this website. Luckily, everybody, us as parents aren't struggling alone. We have a world of parents who are in the same boat that we are. We are all struggling. How do we parent our kids around the internet? So there's a tremendous amount of information on the website, on the web, on the internet. There's so many websites for parents, so many that I didn't feel like it was worth putting up. However, you can find them at my website, which is www.delindastamp.com. I have a parent resource page with all these amazing websites. You can literally do hours and hours of research that will give you that will answer all the questions about what our kids are doing and how to negotiate the website. So go, please, I invite you to go to my website and look at the parent resource page. Open about their technology. It's really important that the technology stays out in the open, if that makes sense to you. The family computer really should be in the family room, where everyone can see it. Don't stick computers in the bathroom where teens and children have access to it in private. Privacy is not a good thing with the internet. Have them do their laptops out in the open. If they do have computers in their room, like for example, we have computers in our room. And the rule is that if you have a computer in your room and you're on the computer, your door has to be open. And that computer has to be in a position that if someone comes to the door, they can see that computer monitor. And that includes my room as well. And believe me, I've been on the internet doing something I shouldn't be. I was at my daughter's wall. And she walked in and said, "Are you stalking me, Mom?" I got busted by my daughter. But it's what's good for our kids has to also be good for us. Rules should go across the entire family when you're making rules and guidelines. Putting a curfew on tech also is very important. Bring it into the real world. If you're going around the house, locking everything up, locking the front door, turning up the lights, getting ready to go to bed, and your daughter or son starts walking out the front door, what do? Bye, have a good time. No, you go, where are you going? Wait a minute, it's 11 o'clock at night, hold it. So on the internet as well, if the kids are up after you've gone to bed and they're up on their computers, that's not a good situation because they don't really need to be on the internet when you're not around. It's also important to think in terms of getting ready for bed. Studies indicate that people that watch TV and are on internet devices of any kind, it stimulates the brain in a way that really is not conducive to sleep. So if your child's having trouble sleeping at night, that might be part of it. So cutting off the internet, turning off all computers and TVs at 10 or 11 o'clock could be a wise choice for your family.
And I think on these last 3 slides, we're going to go a little bit quicker so that we can get to the next presentation. But we just wanted to touch upon the main points. Being a role model, really important. I remember many times when my mom and I are in a pretty intense conversation. She gets a phone call, and instead of ignoring it, she picks it up, and the flow of the conversation is broken like that. In fact, this happened recently. And I think, parents, if you really expect to have your teenagers communicate openly with you, and to have that sort of connection, it makes sense to apply it to converse. If you're in a conversation and somebody calls, turn it off or ask them to call you back. Make it very clear that your priority with your son and with your daughter is higher than your priority with your boss or with your coworker. Setting that type of role model relationship proves to your children just how important the value of communication is in a parent-teen relationship.
Right. Responsible use of technology starts with you parents. So this part, time away from technology, this is huge. Carl?
My little brother spent a lot of time on technology. It's almost kind of scary to think that they're doing it more than I did. It's a little bit distracting. I think it's very interesting how technology, which is supposed to connect people, can also fragment and disconnect people. I remember now when I go out to dinners with my friends, and they're all my age, one of the first things that people do after they order their menu is after they order off the menu is pull out their cell phones and just start checking their Facebook, their tweets, their emails for the next 5 minutes. I think it's really odd how we have all this stuff to really bond us, but at the same time, we allow it to kind of break us apart. So one of the games that actually I started playing with my friends is when we eat dinner together, and I think maybe families should think about doing this. When we eat dinner together, we take out all our cell phones, we put them in the middle. Nobody's allowed to check their cell phones. First person to touch it pays for the meal. So it works. And that's just an example of a silly game, but the premise or the point behind it is very clear. And that's sometimes we do need to turn it off. We need to have a little bit of a wait time and time for just connecting on like a more human and personal level.
One of the most important values, if you ask a teen what they want, especially somebody at Carl or Peter's age, when they can look back and they say, what was important for you when you were 15? I wish my parents would have spent more time with me. That's the thing I hear with my clients all the time. I wish I had more time with my parents. So take this opportunity to spend time with your kids away from cell phones. Playing board games, there's so many great games. So have dinner and play with board games. Another great idea is to have your family sit down with paper and pencil, have everyone in the family sit down with paper and pencil and ask the question, what have you always wanted to do? And have everyone write down the list. Oh, I've always wanted to walk across the Golden Gate Bridge. I've always wanted to have a hot air balloon ride in Napa. I've always wanted to go camping at Yosemite. Make a list and then compile it together, make a master family list, and then purpose to do these things with your kids once a week or once a month, as often as you can. I know a client of mine said that the best time of her life that she can remember with her parents was when she was she went to the beach. And I said, well, what did you do at the beach? She said, nothing. We did nothing. We just sat there and stared at the ocean and de-stressed and breathed deep, and it was wonderful. So spend that time with your kids. We cannot emphasize that enough.
There are times to plug in, but there are also times to plug out.
Right. Okay, and the sixth and final guideline is to understand that the internet is an adult world. It's an adult world created by adults for adults. There's well over 40,000 websites on the internet that are directed to adult content. What that means is that today, pornography is the new drug of our society because it's so accessible. And the fact is that there's no way of really blocking. It's so easy to access these websites. So have your parental controls where you're blocking your computers. How many of you have parental controls on your computers at home? Yeah, not too many. Oh, what? Couple? Good. That's good. I know. We're just hoping for the best, and our kids just aren't going to go that way. But the point is that there is so much out there, and we need to help our kids. And the thing is that pornography addiction and addiction of other internet activities are just, they're just out of control, totally out of control now. And now I want to take a moment to speak to you teens. You teens are at an age where your sexuality is just growing and developing, and it's a beautiful thing, beautiful God-given part of your life. And if you access the wrong information, like from these websites, once you get images in your head, they're in for good. And you can actually hurt your own sexuality, because what's on these sites are not real at all. They don't teach you how to have a real relationship with your wife or husband in the future. So actually, you can actually have lifelong implications to what you're doing. So I'm telling you that it's a very serious thing. Be very careful about what you're doing. It's not a fun, easy thing that you're just gonna get a thrill and walk away. No, it's gonna grab you. And the way it grabs you is through your silence. Because when you're involved in things like that, you're too embarrassed, or you have guilt or shame around that, and you don't talk about it. So if you feel that you're in a place that you don't want to be in, you feel like you're going down a path you shouldn't go down, please speak up. Break the silence by talking to somebody you need. Talk to your parents, and parents, be open-minded when they do come to you. It's a privilege that they're opening up to you in that way. Talk to your pastor, talk to a counselor at school, talk to me. But get help. It's really important that you reach out. Okay, so the gap is that because technology has made our world so different between our kids and ourselves, we really have broken down the trust and respect around technology. Teens don't trust us. Teens feel like they're disrespected. Parents feel like they're out of control, and that they have no control over their kids. So the gap is to connect with your kids. Reach out to your kids, be honest with them, be a good role model towards them, and spend time with them. Find out what they need, and be a friend to them in a way, be open to them in a way that will create trust and respect. Okay, now